Invading the internet, covering Web 2.0, coast to coast, worldwide, and everywhere in between. This is where you put the social in social media. We are Social Blade.
The essence of Social Blade is in creativity. It's in feeling the angst and the pull of all that's happening in our world. Because in social media, we tend to understand and feel things such as the Age of Aquarius. Tonight is a very special Hippie Vision edition of Social Blade, episode number 58, sponsored thankfully by Lightspeednow.com, and it is an absolutely positively jam freaking packed show. I am one of the hosts of Social Blade. I am JD Rucker.
I'm Aaron Ryan.
I'm Jason Ergo, other known as Hippie Vision.
And I'm Jeff Kreider.
And we are going to work on many things today. Today we're switching things up a bit. We're going to take our illustrious and wonderful guest, who I'm about to introduce to you, and we're going to talk to him right from the beginning. So please, we encourage you to listen through, and we're going to keep him throughout. Don't leave just because our guest, who you now see on the screen, Mr. Jerry James Stone, the man who has two first names and a last name that kind of is reminiscent of drugs. He is our Hippie Vision. He is our Hippie Vision guest of the week, and we're so proud to have him. Jerry, are you going to be able to stay through the whole show and talk to us about some of the social media amazement and goodness that has flown through the interwebs during this week?
I am here as long as you'll have me.
Excellent. Well, I don't know if Ergo told you, but this is the first 24-hour marathon of Social Blade show. So I hope you have no plans. No plans.
I'm all ready.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I mean,
did he see his footy pajamas? I love those. I wish I had some. Okay, go
is this Jerry Lewis? Is that who it is? He's telethon, right? 24-hour, right? Yeah. Okay.
So for those who don't know Jerry James Stone, first off, get out from under your rock, because everybody knows Jerry James Stone. But if you don't know Jerry James Stone, he is an app developer. He's a social media emperor supreme. The guy rocks the world on such sites as Dig, Reddit, StumbleUpon, Twitter, Facebook. If it's social, he's involved, and chances are he's green. But we'll get into that later. Jerry, how are you doing tonight?
Great. I'm happy to be here. This is awesome.
Did you get the list of questions that I sent you?
No, I did not.
Oh boy! So if you didn't get the list of questions, then that means that these are going to be all off the cuff, and you have no idea. I took your silence as approval that I could ask about certain topics that you normally would never talk about. So let's get right down into the controversial aspects of your life, Jerry. What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh God!
Bearing in mind that I
social, Jerry.
I already know the answer, and I do have video, so you might as well spill it.
Bring up the video, because I want to watch.
Nice, great coming. No, seriously, Jerry, tell us a little bit about you. We brought you in. You are a social media app developer. That is one of the titles that you hold. Tell us about some of the apps that you are currently in the process of developing.
Well, so the main app is really the website Trackly, which it currently is dead due to the new version of Dig, because the new version of the Dig API is not quite. Yeah, so look, it's all dead. So yeah, that's the current app, and we do have an iPhone app that's going to be changing on some level. But Trackly is really about what we're trying to do there is really access and tell a story about information on sort of like an atomic level about content. So instead of being about a particular user, we want to talk about a particular URL, how it's doing on Facebook, how it's doing on Twitter, how it's doing on Dig or Reddit, and kind of compile that information in one location. So that's sort of our goal with the site. But we've gone through a few developers. It's been a little bumpy, and then we just kind of got our stride, and then the Dig API changed. So now we're back starting all over again.
Ergo knows quite a bit about the API. Perhaps he can he can assist.
Yeah,
of course,
no, it's kind of dead. That's my feeling also right now.
All right. Well, there's the assistance. All the assistance you needed. The API is dead. Dig, however, is not dead, and we'll be talking about it a little bit later too. I think. I actually didn't look to see if Dig was on the list, but I just kind of assume that every week we're at least going to have at least a 2-minute mention of Dig and its death.
There's its mention right there.
JD's Dig moment.
That's my Dig moment of the week. No, I'm just kidding. Dig is actually doing much better.
It is. I agree.
It's 100% better than it was a couple weeks ago, and it seems to be getting even better every day. And I promised Ergo that I wouldn't be discussing much about Dig, so I won't. All right, that was a moment of silence. That was the Dig moment, brought to you by lightspeednow.com. Jerry, tell us a little bit more. So you got that app going. How did you get into? Have you always been into developing apps, or is this your first one?
This was my first one, but it was my first social media app. I have a degree in computer engineering. I spent the first 9 years of my software degree career doing government contract software. And then I jumped into web development. And during those years is kind of when I started blogging and, became familiar with Dig and Twitter and all those other sites. And it was just really kind of seeing a hole in what was out there to give me the information that I wanted as a blogger that kind of led to Trackly. So.
Very nice. And you mentioned being a blogger. Are there any particular blogs that you blog for that you care to mention or?
Yeah, I write for a handful of Discovery Channel properties like treehugger.com and Planet Green.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's where most of my content resides. And then I do stuff for some smaller properties too, like Greenopolis and Mother Nature Network. So yeah, I would say most of what I do is with Discovery, and I kind of do social media, tweaking I work with other authors there on their content and that kind of stuff. So that's a big part of my time.
Nice. Yeah, we're seeing it on screen right now. Some of the things. So do you do it like they do it on the Discovery Channel?
I do. And, if you keep scrolling down on that, you'll see a robotic rat at some point. Yep. That was one of my articles.
You got it here. Jerry did.
Nice.
That's actually pretty cool.
What is that?
Wow. That's actually we'll discuss that off air, Jeff. That's
the green version of Skynet.
RatNet.
Yeah.
Whoa.
RatNet.
I
So
love the Discovery Channel's commercial, the Boom Diata.
The amusing part about me working for the Discovery Channel on some level is that I don't own a TV, so I actually don't really watch anything on the Discovery Channel, even though I contribute content there.
Well, but you're more about the written word and the verbal word as we're talking here, and then spreading that word. Yeah. So I have not watched a show on the Discovery Channel, or really. I do. It was a sad moment when I discovered that the majority of my television watching is actually done on airplanes. That's literally I watch more television in an airplane than I watched my very first episode of The Office the other night when flying back from Colorado. So. So I'm with you there, buddy.
So you watch things other than porn?
I watched. Well, porn doesn't count. That's not television. It's more. That's more personal choice. So they do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. So what do you? What is it that you want to accomplish? You've got the social media apps going. You've got blogging and spreading the word. Is there an end goal? Are you striving towards something, or is this kind of you just want to expand upon it and turn this into your lifelong career?
Well, I really, I would say the two things that I really want is one to get, I'd like to get Trackly to the point where it's a really useful tool for everyone. And so that's kind of the step that we're in right now. We actually have a survey and we're doing market research to figure out what it is that, editors actually need and use. And we don't want it to just be for editors and content creators, but we also want it for social media enthusiasts. So part of the end game is to really have that developed and that be a viable product that people get some use out of. And then I would say outside of that, probably writing. I just get I started a new organic wine series with Discovery that I go up and I get to interview winemakers and we do a whole food thing, and that kind of stuff is really fun.
Now,
hold
what
on.
is-
Just when we're talking about the app in specific there, Jerry, I have a question. When's the Android version coming out?
So, well, that's, we get that question a lot actually. And the thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to kill the iPhone app and just probably do a web app because
HTML5.
it doesn't, we're really happy to have the iPhone app at first. And the only reason I went with the iPhone is because when I went to Blog World last year, everyone but like one person had an iPhone. So, that was kind of like the reason behind that. But we don't actually really use anything that's specific to the iPhone. We're not using geolocation. We're not doing anything like that. We're just really a data engine to like massage and kind of display like information based on URLs or whatnot. So it doesn't make sense for us to really have a specific app for, a specific device.
Do who was, when you went to Blog World, who was that one person who did not have an iPhone?
You want me to call him out? It was
Well,
you,
because I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable or anything, but currently, none of the hosts have iPhones. So so
True.
we've all turned to the bright side, and we're going with a double rainbow Android, and you should too.
I have.
Well, I haven't gone to the dark side. I'm neutral.
She's
I'm neutral.
she's phone. Well, we won't even go there. It's Canada. So thank you,
She's
Bad
still
Cat Los
rocking the old school Nokia.
Aaron's got a pager. Just pager, and
I use payphones.
Pocket full quarters.
better have my money. So
It just
So-
it just doesn't make sense to have a specific mobile application for us that's tied to a particular architecture. That's the problem. It takes a lot of development time, so we'll probably just stick with web apps.
I guess the only benefit, obviously, I don't have an iPhone, so I haven't been able to try out the app. But the only benefit I can think of is you could, with an app itself, you could have it run in the background and give you alerts, things like that.
Yeah,
Can't really do
that's
that
true.
with a web page.
So in your back to blogging and back to science and green and all that stuff, do you have a particular? Is there an article or a story that you either covered or promoted through social media, or just one that stands out where you said, you know what, this one is one of my favorites, and it can be the rat one if you want.
I would say the first one that on some level put me on the map. So I started blogging when I was actually working for a porn website like a few years ago, and I just had a lot of free time because the work was not real hard. It was a pretty basic site, and I needed something to kind of just kill time. And I was just writing for a local San Francisco green blog, and that particular story that I wrote got picked up by Yahoo, and we got like 2.5 million page views that day. Crashed lots of servers and all that kind of stuff. And for me, like, it would just kind of put my name on the map for a lot of environmental blogs and environmental writers. So that was probably the story that I would say that was the one that really stands out in my head the most, just because I didn't, I was doing pretty well as a writer, but that was the first time where I started kicking some butt as far as traffic goes.
Yeah, I want to give you kudos. You're one of the few people that I know whose profile picture matches. A lot of times, your profile picture is you. I mean, you look at mine. Mine was like 30 pounds ago, and I'm like wearing a suit and smiling and stuff like that. And I've gained 30 pounds. I don't smile, and
I don't smile.
All of my suits are gone. So that's the reality of it. But yours, it's like when I first saw you last year at Blog World, there was no question. It's like, yeah, that's Jerry Jamestone that I've seen across my interwebs. That's what I look like. Go ahead and do a back and forth, a side by side view, ergo. It's pretty funny. That's what I once looked like back when I was 22, and now here's me now. Wait, let me turn and let me get the smile. Wait, I got to go the other direction. No, that's right.
Oh, hold on. Let me pull it up.
It's different now. Hi. Hi. All right.
I think it's more of a smirk. I think it's more of a smirk.
So yes, 20 pounds and a little bit less hair, a little bit more jelly beans, and I am good to go. Yeah, let's see if we can just go back to those times. We can't. So anyway, yeah, Jerry, I appreciate that. Now back on the social media real quick. Everybody knows you on Dig, Twitter, Facebook, all these places. One site that I see you very active on and very successful on is StumbleUpon. Now, with a lot of social media people that watch Social Blade, we don't really get a whole lot of coverage for StumbleUpon. Is there any advice or anything you can say that may help people as far as being able to gain success? Because StumbleUpon seems to be a massive enigma for most people, I would say.
Yeah, the thing about StumbleUpon is it's really hard to game it. You kind of have to use it as a StumbleUpon user, which I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of social media people. I mean, they're used to gaming Dig or used to gaming Reddit or whatnot, but you really do have to use StumbleUpon like they intend StumbleUpon users to use it. And you have to pick content that does well there. And content that does well there is stuff that has longevity to it, things that never really kind of die out. It's not really great for newsy type items. I actually really like the content on StumbleUpon. I mean, I know people sometimes they either like StumbleUpon or they like Dig or they like Reddit, but I actually enjoy the content on StumbleUpon. So that's probably another part of it. I mean, I kind of stumble through there just for fun,
Nice.
There's
go ahead.
In the chat room, I put the link to the item that's the post that got picked up by Yahoo.
12-year-old makes homeless shelter from trash.
Yeah.
See, I think the reason why I like StumbleUpon a lot, just how to compared to the other social media platforms out there, it's just the level of of serendipity you get out of it. Just you don't know what you're going to come upon next, and with Twitter, Facebook, everything at Dig, you're filtering through messages. Where StumbleUpon, you're really you're picking certain topics or certain themes, and you're just going with it and not knowing what you're going to find, which is a really neat portion of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that and it's also, I think with Dig and Reddit, I mean, they all sort of have a different audience too. I mean, with Reddit, in the comments, you really get some really knowledgeable people who really school you on, as a writer, school you on the content that you're creating, which I like Reddit for that reason. I hate Reddit because of the moderators, but I like it for the comments, And with StumbleUpon, I really enjoy just the stuff that people find is so awesome, and it's not so timely. It's just always really, really good stuff.
It's funny because if you look at the numbers on StumbleUpon, there are certain websites that I consider to be or not websites, but individual pages that I consider to be relatively universal as far as it doesn't matter, as you said, it's not timely. It can be looked at in 2005, 2010, 2015, and it's still going to be relevant and entertaining in some way. I recently helped a person join StumbleUpon, and he showed me the very first site that he stumbled, and I swear to you, it was the same first site that I had stumbled when I joined StumbleUpon 3 years ago. It was it's one of those ones that the chalk, the sidewalk artist that does the 3D.
Right.
Perspective things. I'm on 99% positive that was the first thing that was presented to me back then, and now it's presented to him. And I looked and I was like 2.5 million views from StumbleUpon so far for that one. So I mean, I've always wanted to unlock the secrets of StumbleUpon, but it seems so time consuming. It's like you actually have to do it to be. You do,
and and the thing is, I mean, that's actually one of the things because I work with. I sort of do editorial type work with a lot of my clients, and I'm always telling them really look at what's on StumbleUpon, because you do bring in constant traffic, just like you said, that 2 million page views. And as a content creator, when people are going after page views, Dig has a nice spike, Reddit can have a mediocre spike, but StumbleUpon really brings for most of the places I'm at 4 times the traffic that Dig ever does. So we get a lot of juice just from that.
Nice. We're doing a new feature, and I haven't told anybody about this. Just a new little mini feature that basically something that I want to do, and we're going to keep an ongoing tally for an extended period of time. But we just want to get everybody's opinions. Whenever we get a guest, we're going to ask this question, and and see what it is. You're going to be the first one. So you're going to set the trend. You're going to tip the balance one way or the other, regardless of what happens in the future. We'll always think back. Just as I remember my first stumble from 3 years ago, we'll remember which way Jerry James Stone went when he was asked.
No matter how much you pay me, JD, I'm not going to do it.
If you were on a desert island and you could only tweet or Facebook, one or the other, which would you do?
Facebook.
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Jerry! I love you. You're awesome.
We will do
And
this.
that concludes our interview with Jerry James Snow.
We're going to leave on a high note. All right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Jerry, you're...
But you know what? I have to tell you why, because here's the thing. I love Twitter, don't get me wrong, but Facebook posts have longevity. Tweets do not. So if I'm stranded on an island, I want people to know, and I want that to show up in their newsfeed.
Yeah, can you tweet more than once or Facebook post more than once, or is it just you can only do one once? JD?
Oh, that was for me. I was like, who's he asking that to? Jerry wouldn't know that. The only person who would know the answer to that would be me, since he's talking to me. Oh, okay. No, let's say that you're stuck. Let's say you're not on a desert island. Let's say you're going about life. We're going to rephrase the question. You're living, you're alive, and you can, throughout your life, at least for the foreseeable future.
I am alive now. I'm not a real doll.
I know.
Okay.
Well, but you were in the porn days, but we won't go there. He was a doll.
Move along.
Yeah. So you're going through life, and during your life you can only do one or the other. This isn't a preference thing. Think about it. This isn't whether you like Twitter or prefer Facebook or whatever. This is if I had to only do one and I could never do the other, which would it be?
And there's no circumstances like stranded on a desert island or anything like that?
No desert island.
Oh, that's easy.
No desert island.
In that case, actually, I probably would pick Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. Jerry James Stone is left to continue with us tonight. And, Aaron is going to meet you at Blog World, and she's going to push you down a set of stairs. So,
but that right there is the definition of social media. I mean, they each have their place, right?
Yeah.
Right. That is. You know what? Let's write that. Somebody write that down. That was a very good thing. Maybe we can even turn that into a title to some blog post someday. Every social media thing, social media, whatever it is, has its place by Jerry James Stone. Figure out. Now, I had a quick question though. Going back to what you said earlier, and this will be my last question. I'll open it up to the audience. Audience, if you have any questions, please post them in here, and Jeff and Aaron and Ergo and myself will watch for them. And the rest of my hosts, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in right after this one. But you had mentioned organic wine. Please explain to me what inorganic wine is, because I figured that organic means alive, and all wine at some point was alive, and actually technically is still alive. So what is inorganic wine, or what's the difference?
So the biggest issue with wine, and as to whether or not it's organic or inorganic, which they don't really say inorganic. Usually the word is conventional. So the difference between conventional wine and organic wine is just usually the process at which the grapes are grown and how they're treated. So a lot of that has to do with, for example, using pesticides on the grapes, and there's other types of things as to whether or not they use fertilizer. Some wineries, instead of using a petro-based fertilizer, they will actually have like sheep come in and eat the weeds and just crap everywhere, and which sounds kind of gross, but so there's things like that wineries do in order to lessen their carbon footprint and also have less chemicals in the wine that they produce. There's no real taste difference, I think, between the two that I've really noticed. I mean, a lot of organic winemakers have noted a taste, but the real interesting point with it is that a lot of organic winemakers actually will not admit that they actually use organic wine or they use organic processes, because with organic food, you can actually have a higher price point. You can actually sell produce for a little bit more because it's organic, but with wine, it actually has a negative effect and you can't get the same price point.
Because wine drinkers are snobs and they don't care about the universe.
Yeah, well, they are snobs. That's true. They are. But there's a lot of things that I mean. Actually, I would say like probably most winemakers, like maybe 70% of them are probably practicing organic and sustainable agriculture, and maybe only 20% of them actually admit it.
Wow, that is so awkward. I mean, that's that you'd think, but then again, I guess if somebody said, yeah, we bring sheep out here and they eat all the weeds and crap everywhere, then that might not be appealing to somebody's trying to drink it down. I didn't see if there were any questions. Hit them up, Aaron. Anybody? Ergo. Jeff?
I have 4 questions in 4 seconds, so I want to ask you just 4 random questions so we can get to know you a little bit better.
A new feature on Social Blade.
4 questions in 4 seconds.
With
4
Aaron
questions in 4 seconds.
And it takes 10 minutes to explain the process.
Exactly.
Brought to you by- All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, real quick. So don't think about it. Just answer, okay? First off, we'll make it easy. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
Music. Like listen to music.
Not watch TV.
I don't own it.
Doesn't own a
Are you
TV.
paying attention?
Zuckerberg. Oh,
Sorry.
we got interrupted in the 4 seconds with it, Aaron Ryan. Pat's like red. Okay, so would you actually hang out with Zuckerberg?
Oh, no.
No, I'm not laughing at the answers. The way he said it is like,
Zuckerberg? Heck
no.
Yeah,
As a
really.
matter of fact, that's kind of a dumb question, Aaron. Who would? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm gonna get pushed down the stairs. Go ahead. Question 4.
Okay, and the last question is, what is your favorite song of all time?
Favorite song of all time.
Eminem.
Okay, so that actually changes on a regular basis, but right now it's Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass's cover of Love Potion Number 9.
Ooh,
It's
I like that, the original. So is this like, what kind of band are they? What genre?
It's sort of like this kind of jazzy mariachi. So I used to I had a radio show when I was in college at the college radio station. So I'm a bit of a music geek, but it's sort of like jazzy mariachi.
Huh.
Wow.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Can you?
And
I
it's
think
the perfect song.
I'm a jazz man. Good music.
I feel like I know you better now, Jerry. From those 4 questions.
So now we can swap and you can be the guest and I can be the host.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, okay, Jerry.
So, Jerry,
we
ask
can
Aaron
have,
questions.
4 questions in 4 seconds, allegedly, for Aaron Ryan.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Aaron. So we'll start easy. What's your favorite color?
It is blue.
No yellow! Sorry.
Maybe this is what Aaron wanted.
No, actually, it's not. But
Oh, how the tables have turned.
and
Okay.
Pierre Live.
We'll mix it up a little bit. So now, who's your favorite other Social Blade host?
I was about to ask that. Oh, my God. That's a good one.
Oh.
So you're asking out of the 3 right here that are listening and watching intensely, like,
Aaron,
who's my
you
favorite?
better answer carefully because
Yeah,
I could
who's your
hang up
favorite?
on you right now.
And don't forget who's flying you down to Blog World next week.
Oh. Well,
Guess
Jeff,
who's
what did
your
you ever do?
Yeah.
So which is her least favorite?
That's question number 3. Shh.
Oh.
You know, that's not fair because that's only hurtful. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna plead the 5th, even though I'm Canadian. I'm gonna go with it.
I'm sure
Okay,
Zuckerberg's
so
feelings are hurt.
we'll skip to question number 4 then, which was, do you prefer
Who's
cats or
favorite?
dogs?
Ooh, I used to prefer cats. Now I have a dog, and that's a hard one.
Okay, so see, I have a
I
cat.
prefer cats for their simplicity. Their simplicity. I love cats for their simplicity. But J.D. Rucker said to me one time, he said, "I hate cats," and I said, "You hate cats?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." And I said, why would you ever hate cats? He goes, because if someone broke into your house right now, your cat would run away and hide. But if someone broke into your house, your dog would stand in front of you and try to save you. And that's
Even though your dog's the size of a cat.
even if your dog's the size of the cat, and you got a bear charging you, the dog will stand between you and the bear. If you have a cat, the cat will draw a path and assist the bear, jump on its back and steer him towards you, and say, "I never liked him anyway." So that's the difference between dogs and cats.
This is Social Blade, the Discovery Edition.
The Discovery Edition.
Discovery Edition. Exactly. We're discovering more about each other, animals.
Fits on some.
Yeah. So I'm an animal. I'm an animal person, 100%. So I can't really choose. It's kind of like with the Social Blade hosts. They're all animals to me.
Oh,
Interesting.
yeah, that's nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Jeff, Ergo, questions.
I mean, he answered all the ones I had, and even asked some of the questions that I even was about to pose.
Not only this is our first guest that actually asked our questions for us. That's awesome.
I think I had 2 questions, and he asked them.
But it's because I'm a journalist, right? It's what I do.
It's what he does.
Inquiring minds already knew. Nice. Well, Jerry, stick around. Thank you so much for talking to us. And continue to talk to us, because we're going to talk about some of the social media goodness of this week. This was again, as we said earlier, this week was packed. It was jammed. It was jam-packed, including something that I thought was exceptionally interesting. There seems to be a cultural shift in our culture. Allow myself to introduce myself. A cultural shift. No, I went through and I actually said there was a cultural shift in our culture. That's like idiotic, That's just like the dumbest thing. I'm going to shut up and let Jeff, the more articulate and well-versed person on this subject, actually take us through this particular topic.
Thanks for the handoff. But in keeping with the trend of applications and talking about applications, the Peer Internet website had a survey they've been conducting, and it's entitled The Rise of Apps Culture. And I'm going to cover their main findings of their research very briefly. I'll link the actual website to the findings in the chat room so you can take a look at it more in depth. But what they found was cell phone use in the U.S. has increased dramatically over the past decade. Fully 8 in 10 adults today, that's 82%, are cell phone users, and about 1/4 of adults, 23%, now live in a household that has a cell phone but no landline phone. Some of the major points they found were 35% of adults have cell phones with apps, but only 2/3 of those who have apps actually use them. App users tend to be younger, more educated, and more affluent than other cell phone users. App use still ranks relatively low when compared to other uses of the cell phone, which is interesting. Can anyone guess what is the most used function of your phone?
Texting.
Nope.
Actually, that is the second highest. The first highest is taking a picture.
Yeah, it's up on the screen. I was going to say that, but
well, there
I was going to cheat.
Taking a picture is the highest. Send or receive text messaging is the second highest. Access to the internet is third, and playing a game is fourth.
Where does actually making phone calls rank?
Oh, it's not even on the list.
It's not even on there.
Not even on the list.
Well, if you have an iPhone, you can't make phone calls.
The list. That's true. The list, though, does say non-voice cell phone activities, so that's why it wasn't on the list.
I see.
Some of the other main points of their findings were 29% of adult cell phone users have downloaded an app onto their phone. 1 in 8 adult cell phone users, 13%, has paid to download an app.
Wow, that's
And
high.
The most popular type of app are games at 60%, news and weather at 52%, maps, navigation, and search at 51%, social networking at 43%, that's 47%, and music at 43%. It's a very in-depth survey that actually is several pages long, and after we finish discussing this, I'll link that into the chat room. But this opens up the broader culture, as we were talking, about apps with Jerry, and I'm someone who likes to debate topics and to kind of dive into these types of topics in depth. But the broader question I want to pose to the host, to the chat room, our viewers, and to Jerry is: do we see the internet as a closed system, as an app-based system, or do we see it more as an open system, what we traditionally think of as the internet?
Repeat the question, please, Jeff.
Yeah. Do we see the future of access to the internet, Facebooking, social networking, etc.? Do we see it as a closed system? Do we see it in the future as Steve Jobs envisions it, through app-based, where if I want to go to the Wall Street Journal, I go to the Wall Street Journal app. If I want to get weather, I go to the weather app. If I want Facebook, go to the Facebook app. Or do we see the internet as more of a Facebook type of philosophy, where it is more open, everything is more social, it is wide open for everyone to use?
I want to say that I think it will be, or at least I hope it will be, more of an open-ended system. On your phone, where you have limited screen where you can see things and functionality and everything, their apps I think will thrive. But for the internet in general, on my desktop, I wouldn't want to download a New York Times app. I would rather go to New York Times in my web browser.
Right.
But I think it is interesting as we tend to move towards being more mobile, and getting access to things quicker, especially with the rise of the iPad and Google coming out with their equivalent, where it is more app based, and the ability to have something with you on the run that is easier to use than a laptop to access the internet. I see it, but I still think that we will have that. I think it will be more prevalent, but I still do think that accessing the internet in the traditional means will still be the majority usage of what we think of as the internet.
Well, absolutely. I think that alone, if you think about like how it kind of all started, the browser alone is an app, right? But Twitter sort of changed that on some level. It kind of took information outside of the browser with desktop apps, using your phone and those sort of applications. So I don't know. I tend to think that it's open. We're just maybe a bit myopic right now because it's so new still. It might not feel that way.
Yeah, but is there something about the app system that turns people onto it? You know what I mean? Just, I got an app for that. Or check the weather. Oh yeah, I got an app. You know what I'm talking about? How there's that, I don't want to say the novelty, but just the sexiness of just having an application that does one specific thing.
Well, I think that's it right there. Is the whole, it does one specific thing. We don't forget there's an ebb and flow when it comes to the information. There's peaks and valleys, and the way that the internet, it's almost as if as soon as we make things bigger, then we need to shrink them down. And as soon as we get them micro shrunk, now we've got to make them bigger. You see it in pretty much every aspect of technology, especially when it's information based or internet based or computer hardware based. It's like, as things are getting bigger, on the other hand, they're getting smaller. Facebook is becoming bigger, but yet it's also becoming app-based and more, in the tabs. It's turning into where you get little micro. I don't want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody smart, adult, please tell me what I'm looking for. Micro. It's like not. Yeah, exactly. Say it.
Use your words.
Speak.
Come on, Jason. Why aren't you kicking in here?
So anyway, the point is that as things get bigger, they're also getting smaller. And in my opinion, you nailed it on the head when it comes to the apps. It's like, okay, so we can go to 1 million different websites to figure out what the weather is in Singapore. Or we can have a weather app that all we have to do is say Singapore and into our phone, and it'll tell us what the weather is and what the time is and who the current president is or whatever, if they even have presidents or whatever. I've never been to Singapore. So, so you see, does that make sense? In other words, the apps make it specific where, we have all this information. Now we have these different apps that allow us to focus on individual pieces of data that are most interesting to us, such as movie reviews. Great apps for that. I have this odd obsession with Family Guy soundboards, and so I have
No.
several apps. I have several apps
Several.
with Family Guy.
We know. My
sounds.
God, we know.
I can go to the internet and I can find plenty of sounds from Family Guy. I can watch videos on Hulu. I can do all kinds of stuff. But when I'm sitting there lonely at night, I just go to my Stewie app, and it comforts me.
And sometimes he uses that for responses when we ask him a question. So it's very interesting. I want to know what you guys have paid for. Like, what apps have you paid for? I've never paid for an app on my phone. I'm not an appy.
I've never paid for. I just can't pull myself into paying for that type of stuff yet.
I bought
I've paid for apps.
I have two.
Ooh,
I've only
share.
paid for a couple.
I've paid for two. I've paid for one that is a San Francisco public transportation app because I do not own a car. And I've paid for a wine app, which will tell me where I can purchase a particular bottle of wine based on its barcode.
Wow,
That's
that's strong.
That's cool.
And that one, it was like
Are
$4
you-
a hit.
Are you
know?
referring to the BART? Is it called the BART app?
No, that one's free. It's I forget what it's called, but the funny part about paid apps too is because Trackly was originally free, and then the app itself we bumped up to like $1.99, and people do have that stigma about paying for apps, even though they'll easily drop like $4 a day on Starbucks, but like an app is like for some reason out of that paradigm.
Well, I think we're still in the mentality of why pay for it when I can get it free somewhere else? The mentality of the internet I shouldn't have to pay for anything on the internet. I mean, it should be a right for me to get that information. I think we still have that mentality that I think it'll take time to overcome it.
Don't get me started on that one, but I agree with you. It does need to be overcome. I am actually the exact opposite in that I purchased the funniest of all apps to actually pay for. I purchased a Twitter, Facebook social networking app for the Droid because it was very singular, and I was able to do everything that I needed to do.
Which one?
I have no idea. I was on the phone with you when I bought it.
Oh.
So
I didn't remember.
it was when I was at the Kings of Leon concert.
Oh.
So I never used it. It didn't work very well. But and knowing that there were free apps out there for a trillion free Twitter, Facebook, Foursquare, all these various apps. This app because I had to buy it for $2.99. It's like, wow. But I also want to know, how in the world are you able to get away with $4 a day on Starbucks? I mean, I'm in double digits. So that's kind of odd.
But I think that's the thing, though, with apps. I think once we feel like they're more stable and you know what you're getting into, because when you buy it, then it's like, oh, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Because that's what I hear most of the time. It's like,
at least
it's not really useful.
At least on my phone, on Android, I don't know if it works the same on iPhone, but most of the apps here have two versions. One's ad supported, and then one is the full version. Or you have a free trial first, so you do know what you're getting at. And I actually did. Yeah. I did buy one app. I don't use it anymore, but on the previous version of Android, they didn't support Exchange, which is like a corporate mail server, and I had to pay $20 to get an app to do that. Now it's included. Yeah.
That's not a microtransaction.
Yeah.
That's like 2 visits to Starbucks for me. So good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thank you. Any other thoughts there? Next.
No.
We are actually developing a Social Blade app.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. Jerry's developing it for us. Thank you so much, Jerry.
As he's petting Mr. Bigglesworth over in.
Well, there's a site that we haven't talked about for a while. It's a site that many of you, if you look back and think about it, you may recall that at one point there was another social media site. It was called MySpace, and MySpace is trying to become relevant again. Over the last year and a half or so, they've really been trying to. They basically acknowledge, you know what, we're going to lose. We're not going to be able to beat Facebook. They've got the momentum. They're going to blow right past us. They got a better system, better style, better this, better that. So let's turn things around and focus more on content, and in particular, entertainment style content. They want to be the place where bands go, where people go to find bands, where they get television, the works. And one thing in particular that that is a coup for them. I think, in my opinion, being able to latch on to certain popularity items is American Idol. You can now audition for American Idol via MySpace. Jerry, what's your song going to be?
Yes.
What is your audition song?
Oh God, I have no idea.
I'm personally
You think
thinking either Aerosmith or Aretha Franklin.
For you or for me?
For us, we're going to do a duet. I will be.
Okay. Awesome.
I'll be Aretha, and you can be Steven Tyler. We go in there, we wail on MySpace and rock the world, and nobody would ever take that post on social media sites like Dig and embarrass us for the rest of our lives. It would never happen.
I think we should do Islands in the Stream, JD.
Islands in the Stream, yeah.
Exactly.
I could picture you guys doing actually
that is
the
what
song.
we are.
Put your picture away. One being Sheryl Crow, one being Kid Rock. I could see you guys doing that.
Nice.
Stream.
Islands in the Stream by Kid Rock. I love it. So yeah, I could put on the wife beater and we could do Eminem and what's her name?
Rihanna.
Rihanna. Exactly. That'd be cool. So or actually, you'd probably put on the wife beater. Either way, doesn't matter. So anyway, yeah, I don't think there's much discussion that needs to be said. I just think, hey, we MySpace is still around. It still exists.
So the
All
question
right.
is, what's Friendster gonna do?
Yes.
Friendster's-
Friendster was the first. Or this first I
Friendster-
used. Pretty sure it was first.
I think it was good. I think that Friendster is eventually going to be turned into probably an aggregator. Somebody's probably in the midst of trying to buy them. I would estimate, and by buy them I mean buy their, because they are still very popular in certain areas. I think they're popular in the Philippines and other places. So it's here we've got Facebook, we got Twitter, and there's still a lot of people on MySpace, but in other places, Bebo is important in places, and Orkut. If you're in Brazil, or if your name's Dean, then Orkut is very there's and then Friendster, I believe High Five. It's either High Five or Friendster. Is very popular in certain Asian countries. So yeah. And Dean, I'm just kidding. That was funny. So but there's one that is still relevant and still moving high, and apparently they're trying to move even higher, and that's Twitter.com. Twitter is in the process of rolling out several changes over the next few weeks, and these changes are the biggest change the site's made ever, pretty much. I mean, if you look back at original, I was one of the quote-unquote early adopters. I think I was amongst the first 10,000 to join Twitter about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's not far off from where it was back then. Now it's changing the game altogether. They're going to integrate with several websites, such as YouTube, basically content sites like YouTube and TwitPic and various other places, and allow you to basically have those of you who use TweetDeck or Seismic, you're going to see that the actual Twitter.com page is going to maybe not look similar to it in form, but in function it will be. You'll be able to click on a person and see their Twitter profile, look at their recent tweets and stuff like that without having to leave the page. It'll be on basically the second pane. They're going to a 2-pane format with a left and a right pane. You click on a video, and you'll, rather than having to go to youtube.com, it'll just play the video for you off on the right. Just lots of changes that are much needed. I know we discussed it a little bit last night on the drill down, and for the most part, it was met with negative responses. But I think that's because we tend to, when we do these shows, we tend to think of it from our perspective of being tech savvy, social media savvy, and for the most part, none of us, almost none of us use actually Twitter.com. We use web apps, but one person in particular does use Twitter.com, and so I wanted to get her opinion. Erin, have you seen these proposed changes, and how does it make you feel?
Well, actually, mine's not updated yet. So, but I've seen it. I've read the stories. I think it's going to be great that we're going to be able to, because I personally like going to Twitter.com. I personally like it better than any third-party apps. But At the same time, I'm really going to enjoy being able to not have to go to YouTube, not having to wait for my page to load because I have a slow computer. So that's going to be beneficial all around for me. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit like Facebook. It's going along those lines, especially with the two-pane. But, I don't blame them for wanting to be like Facebook.
No,
So.
of course not. Yeah, that's.
I will definitely give my feedback when I can see it, like with my own two eyes and be able to utilize and stuff. I'll definitely be giving my feedback because I think it's going to be very interesting.
Well, yeah, I definitely. I mean, what do you think about being able to not have to leave the page at all to watch a video?
I think that's great. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be absolutely wonderful because the thing is that that's partly why I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, and I do prefer Facebook because I click on the video and I can watch it and stay on Facebook, like Ergo's videos, like our videos. You know what I mean? Like anybody else's videos. So, if Twitter is integrating that feature, I think that's going to be great for personal use and a business use. So good on both ends to generating views on their YouTube channels. There's Ender.
And on that note, I'm going to leave my portion of this story. I'd like for you guys to continue talking about it. I do have to run, my friends. I do apologize, but I had a hard stop 4 minutes ago, and they're knocking on the door, trying to beat it down right now as we speak. So I do have to run. But I'd like to ask Jerry, because Jerry is another one who is utilizing this thing called Twitter.com from time to time. Jerry, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I think this actually kind of steps back a bit to the question about whether or not the web will be open or closed. And I think this is a perfect example of why it needs to remain open, because this is sort of a trickle up kind of thing, right? I mean, you have all these apps that people have created that Twitter has seen the benefit of, and now they're including it into their site. And I think if, that's the reason why the web is going to be remaining open.
Interesting.
Well, if the main sites start, incorporating all these functions that the third-party applications are developing or have developed, doesn't it make it more closed? Because there's essentially, why go to another app if the main site is essentially offering what you were, using previously?
Well, right,
yeah, but for instance, like
curve.
Yeah.
Twitter's never going to be where the apps are. So like this sort of open development is always going to drive what people, like a lot of sites like this, they want to use what's tried, like tested and like true, and like they know will do well. And so apps that have taken on stuff like having the double pane, like Hootsuite or, Seismic or whatever, they've been doing it for a while. And now Twitter sees that there's an advantage to doing this, but like those applications are going to keep moving forward while Twitter is just now like catching up.
Right. But the thing is, too, is that, until Twitter and Facebook can hold hands and join with Unity, the other applications are going to offer you to be able to utilize Twitter and Facebook at the same time. So because of that alone, people are going to stay with those third-party applications and not want to go to Twitter.com and not want to go to just Facebook. They're going to want to be able, like Ergo does. He uses TweetDeck for his little Facebook and Twitter updates, where I personally like the web-based services.
See, I use a desktop application myself, Echo Phone for Mac.
Echo Phone.
Yeah, no, I was just playing around with it as you saw on the screen here, the new Twitter layout here. It just got rolled out to me, and I think I'm not a big fan of the transparency thing there that you can see through to the background. It's a little hard to read, but beyond that, it seems pretty good. I saw that it looks like they don't work with all the URL shorteners for the links. So I saw, for example, it embeds Ustream, but not if you use it through j.mp or Bitly. It has to be directly the Ustream link. And same with YouTube. It has to be the direct link. So the YouTube shortened link.
I bet you they're going to change it that you can only use t.co.
Well, all the links, that's one of the things Twitter is rolling out at some point, yeah. Everything will, no matter what you put in originally, the link that'll be displayed will be t.co.
Yeah.
But
so
Yeah, so speaking of YouTube and looking at it through Twitter, if you actually go to YouTube, the site itself now, or at least soon, they were doing this as sort of a preview this week. They are starting demos of live streaming. Now, this is something that they've done really for big events for a little while. Like they had a huge U2 concert on YouTube. They've had a lot of sporting events. They've had White House addresses and things like that. But what they started doing this week, and I was actually at the very first broadcast, not in person, but watching live. They've started rolling this out as sort of a little trial to a closed set of partners. There was 4 of them that got to try this out: Howcast, Rocket Boom, Young Hollywood, and New Network, or Next New Networks. But this was on Monday and Tuesday of this week, and they got a lot of feedback, and I guess they're going to be working on this for a little while, and eventually they should be rolling this out in the not too distant future to partners on YouTube, which I believe there's over 10,000 of those, including Social Blade. So perhaps in the not too distant future, Social Blade, instead of broadcasting on Ustream, will be able to broadcast directly on YouTube. What do you guys think?
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, fortunately for us, I mean, we're partners, so if we get to test that stuff out and be able to see what it would look like and be able to have everybody go through YouTube, that would be really great for us. But I wonder, how are they going to do it? Like, did you watch some of it? Is there going to be multiple people able to live stream at one time?
It looks like it's really going to be the same type of thing as these other places. At least the interface that they showed in the initial demo, you got to do your own, like we use Skype here to do multiple people. It looks like you got to do the same type of thing there. However, I watched 2 different shows, and that's how they did it. That's not saying that YouTube doesn't have the extra functionality. It was just that these shows were big production companies where everyone was located in one place anyway, so they didn't need to do it like that. Yeah, and then so the experience itself, they had the video, and then they had a chat also that was going. So
I'm just curious on what their angle's going to be. Like, what is going to drive people away from Ustream and Justin TV and even Skype? Well, what is YouTube's angle going to be? And I know Google's going to have to try something.
One of the big angles is the site Blog TV.
Upload it.
Yeah, well, that too. But the site Blog TV, if you're familiar with that site, it really got popular because of YouTube. Since YouTube didn't have streaming, lots of YouTube celebrities sort of got brought on to advertise it at the beginning, and that's really how it got big. So all those people now can do the broadcasting on YouTube directly. So they'll have big names doing this here to draw people in.
Well, speaking of big names, Mark Zuckerberg, you know him. We were talking about him earlier, the founder of Facebook.
Zuck.
He's only 26 years old. Zuck. Yeah, only close people call him that, though, Jason.
I didn't say Zuck. I said Zuck.
Zuck.
You just heard what you wanted to hear.
As in suck? Suck? Oh.
Move on.
Well, he's 26 years old, and as you know, he's created the Powerhouse social network in only 6 years, coaxing people, 500 million of them to be exact, to find Facebook to be their hobby, and for some of us, admitted addiction. There were some interesting facts in the latest article from the New Yorker Post with Mark Zuckerberg, where he opens up about his life, reveals some interesting facts about himself, and I've done a lot of research in trying to find facts about Mark and have found some, but they did reveal a little bit more about him. He's just like Jerry James Stone, he does not own a TV. He does not, well, I don't know if you own a TV, you might, but he doesn't watch television. Let's put that out there. On his Facebook profile, he lists his email and his phone number, but luckily for him, he only shares it with his friends and knows his own privacy policy. He also only lists on his under books on his profile. He only lists one book. One book, Jason. One.
Yes.
What book is it?
Ender's Game.
Right.
The name of my puppy. No.
It's Ender's Game, and if you don't know, that's the name of Jason's puppy because of that book. And that's the only one he ever lists. That's his favorite book of all time. So
I guess
I've
we can be
often
friends.
said as a joke, yeah, you could be friends with him, Jason. And sometimes I wonder if you are him. But that's another story. He actively takes part in Facebook's location-based services places, so you can find out what Mark or the Zuck is doing at different times. Because he takes part. He does, in fact, have a girlfriend. Sorry, ladies. I find that a little bit of a shocker myself, but he does have a girlfriend. He does tend to overshare on his own profile because he wants to lead by example, since he wants you to do the same so he can make more money. And in Zuckerberg's bio section, this is what his quote is. I'm trying to make the world a more open place. And he also does not plan on seeing the Social Network movie. Had to put that in there. He should. I'd love to hear his feedback. That would be a great, whoever would be able to land that story, get his feedback, like what was true, what was false, because I know I'm going to be like heading out and
he
seeing
will.
it.
He'll
so,
show up. He'll just wear like a ball cap, sunglasses, trench coat, and just kind of sit in the back with, the popcorn and view it himself.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of interesting things. I mean, he's the only boy. He has 3 sisters. His father was the one that really got into computers because he owned a dentist parlor in the house, and he wanted another way of being able to call someone's name besides having the receptionist sound it out. So his son, Mark, decided to get on that. And so as soon as the Atari came out, his father was all on that, and they had computers everywhere. And so what they do is they actually had like the earliest version prior to when AOL came out and everything like that, to being able to ping back and forth from each other to be able to talk to one another on the computer, but they didn't know what to call it. So there was a lot of interesting information history there. There was a little bit of inconsistency, though, because it says that it's published on September 20th, 2010. It's September 16th, unless I'm like totally losing my mind. So I don't know if this is a bit of a mixture of an old post with a new post, but I mean, a lot of interesting facts and
Aaron,
interesting.
A lot of magazines publish. The New Yorker, I think, it's a print magazine, right? So they publish in the future that this is going to be for the September 20th print edition.
Okay, because I was thinking like, what is going on here?
That's
but
my guess.
we don't get Canada. So if it's on the internet and you're going September 20th, 2010, that sometimes makes people wonder, like, did they just change the year? Right? Because some people do that on their websites. But I did find it interesting because it gives a little bit of history about him, and he's a bit of shy and cockiness there that we're all made aware of. But he is actually quite private in his personal life. He doesn't like to go to parties or events, or even when he talks on that stage and he's sweating profusely, and that's pretty noticeable. But he really doesn't like to be in the public eye, yet he does want you to be. So, his father plays a big role in how he got involved. And even one time there was a class that was really for grown-ups. And so the father and his father's name is Edward, took Mark to this class, and the teacher said, "You can't bring your son to this class." And the father just looks at her and says, "He's the student." So, and just dropped him off and left. I mean, his father seems to have a little bit of confidence and cockiness in his personality from this article too. So that's probably where Mark gets it from. But you've got to have it, in my opinion, to be able to create something like Facebook. What do you guys think about it? Like, does he sound a little bit more like a person instead of a robot? Because they talked a bit about that. Like, a lot of people think he's a bit robotic, and he takes forever, apparently, to answer a question almost as if he's ignoring you.
Can I actually say something that's not related to that question?
Go for it.
Sure.
I think this is maybe because I'm on the Social Blade show, but I just got featured on Yahoo again. So, like, the story that I was, saying was kind of like what started out for me. I attribute it to you guys. I'm on their front page again.
Nice.
Oh,
congratulations.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
That is very, very cool. You are the next Mark Zuckerberg. I'm thinking. I have a feeling. And the interesting part is they broke it down a little bit, and 1 out of 14 people have a Facebook account. Some of us have 2. I don't. Jeff doesn't. JD doesn't. And Jerry doesn't. So who does that leave?
So, Aaron, do you possibly, by any chance, have a poster or a tattoo of Zuckerberg?
I don't, but I would love to have something like that. I really would love to have the actual hoodie with the emblem of Facebook on it, and I'd wear that like all the time. I know that's like major geek. I don't love him like as in I'm attracted to him or like but I idolize him in a sense because it's like, what brilliance. I mean, to me, it's like I love being social and I love figuring it out. And that's what he talks about too within this article. It's like people don't want to, like that. He was referring to Google actually at the time. And he was saying they don't want just rankings and search engines. They actually want to get into the minds of other people. And it's so true. Naturally, we're curious and we're nosy. And it's like, we really want to know what that person beside us or in front of us are thinking about us, especially when we're trying to get to know them. It's really nerve-wracking and things like that. So creating a network that it's like, that's what you're doing. You're trying to get into the mind of people you're friends with or even family members that live far away that you don't have the opportunity to talk on the phone all the time. And so that's my thing, is I really think he's a brilliant person. And yes, he has a team behind him like we all do in our lives. And whether is his idea or whatever, he was able to implement this. And I think it's brilliant. But no, I don't have a tattoo. I don't have any tattoos. But
you
yeah.
have magazine clip outs in your locker. I don't believe you.
I don't. Actually, I only have one magazine that has to do with Mark at all. And I don't have it clipped out or anything. I just have it tucked away. I'm not obsessed, people. Let's be honest. I'm not obsessed, but I do enjoy learning about Facebook even more so sometimes than actually spending time on Facebook. And I know there's got to be other ones out there that are like me. Brian, for example.
Guys, I just broke into his Facebook account and I found out what he's going to be for Halloween this year. There you go. There's the picture. Continue.
Okay, I didn't see. Let me see. Oh yeah. He's going to be a what?
There's a big delay, isn't there?
I was actually off the page, but as we're talking about social networks and the love that we have for them, let's go on to a university that's going to be banning social media for a week. Now, I'm not a quitter, but this might be the school that I would quit because I don't know if I quit. Pennsylvania's Harrisburg University of Science and Technology will actually have a week-long social media blackout for all students in residence. So it's not for all students in total. It's only for those that live on campus. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't use their cell phones, because they will. But this is what they find interesting. The person that proposes this, his name is Provost Eric Dar. I think I said that right. Provost.
Provost is the.
I guess
he runs.
Professor.
It's something to do with running the school. I forgot the exact title, but that's not a name. That's a title.
No, I know that's the title. I was like, did I say that right? Because here it's just like professor or like.
Yeah, provost, I believe.
Something. Yeah. Well, his name was Eric Dar. Okay, and so he wants to temporarily have this blackout with social media, because he wants to see how they'll react, as well as he actually believes that today's college students take its role in their lives for granted. So he wants to see how people would react. And if they do tend to use their cell phone, or if they ask somebody, can I use your BlackBerry or something like that, he's actually going to ask at the end of the week, did you actually ask for it and why, to try to find that out. I mean, I find that interesting to see that. And I do think that we do, in fact, take it for granted that we're so connected and able to get smaller. And I mean, we dissect it every week. So we kind of are always involved in it instead of taking a step back and being like, oh my God, sometimes I do this actually. What did I do before social media? I have no idea.
So it's going on this week.
Yeah.
So they can't be watching our show right now. Well, I guess Ustream's probably not banned.
Well, no, the internet's, I think, going to be gone altogether for people who are living in residence, just to see if they can go with it.
Is it the whole internet, or is it just, are they just blocking sites?
Well, Well, they'll be forbidden from using Twitter, Facebook, instant messaging, and any other online communication except for email.
Yeah, so there's a lot of other websites out there.
Right. Well, the thing is that any other online communication. So basically they can only use their email. Right?
No.
That's what it's saying.
No, they're just blocking the social media sites.
No, listen. The students will be forbidden from using Twitter, Facebook, instant messaging, and any other online communication except for email.
Communication, like talking to people.
Well, Ustream, it would be one of them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, maybe.
I think so. Anyways, what would you guys do if you were going to university, paying for university, living on campus, and your social media was taken out?
I think it's actually a pretty cool experiment and idea to do here. If actually you remember, this is several months ago, Victor and I were talking about this on the show once, and we were challenging each other that on one day just to not use any technology, go Amish for the day. No cell phone, computer, whatever. You remember that?
I do remember that, and you guys never did it, so that answers the question.
It worked because Victor hasn't been on since then. He's still doing it.
Jerry, what would you do? Jeff?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd probably read a book all day.
I would lose there because I don't read. I listen to audiobooks off my phone. So.
Oh my god.
Sunny says, I would throw down. I think
I could do it.
I would work on my duet with JD.
Jerry's going to work on his duet with JD. I don't know if I could do it, honestly. I mean, I try to do it some days. Especially when the weekends roll around, I try to just unwind and get a little bit, back into the offline world. But I find myself, I have to find some way to get on Twitter or Facebook some point throughout that day. So a week? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't do it for a whole week. I work online, so that would just not work. But I would be willing to try this. If we want to, as a team, try maybe on Saturday, some Saturday, maybe not this one necessarily, but we should try it.
We're not ready for it. It can't be this Saturday.
Exactly. No, I think it honestly would be a pretty cool experiment, just to show how needing of technology you are. Obviously, you'd be able to, if you need to drive somewhere, you can use your car, I'd say, and use electricity for lights and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I've participated in Earth Day before, which you basically not Earth Day, Earth Hour, which you turn off all things for an hour, and that's pretty cool. But
you just sat there.
Yeah, no, I usually go outside and.
He took a video, so when the lights came back on, he could post it on YouTube.
Yeah. So
I mean, really, our lives are still around it. I'm thinking if we did it, we'd have to everything. You can't do anything that is going to be later for social media or anything. It's got to be literally go to the park without videotaping it. Ergo, could you do it?
It's tough.
Tough. I mean, Ender's even addicted. So, and he's only 5 months. But I think it's important too sometimes to just step back, take a look, because have you guys asked yourself that? What did you do? Well, not Jason. We're gonna exclude Jason because he's been doing it for 15 years. But Jeff, I mean, and Jerry, is there a time that was you just didn't really use the computer all that much?
Not really, because I have a degree in software engineering, so I've pretty much been using them from the get-go.
I went backcountry hiking for a week and didn't use a computer.
I mean, I know for me, it's when I was younger, it wasn't integrated into my life until I was 14 or 15. The actual wanting to be on the internet, wanting to be on the computer, and really actually starting to love it wasn't until my late teens, early 20s. So, I mean...
For me, it was about 7-8 months ago.
I actually have to admit this, since Jeff said, he was hiking or something, he said, for a week?
Backcountry hiking.
Backcountry hiking. I actually went to the Galapagos Islands, probably one of the most out of the
Epic
normal life
trip.
places. Yeah, but anyway, I used the internet while I was there for one day. Also around like the mainland, and in the middle of the trip, I even got on the internet there. Yeah.
Well, that doesn't count if you had to find a way where they have like little birds with blue feet to go on the internet. I mean, come on.
Is that Twitter?
What are they called? No, they're actually real birds with blue feet. But you know what I mean? Right there, that's a good example. I mean, immediately he thought Twitter instead of like a real bird, you know? So that's interesting. I mean, really and truly. I don't know. We can try it at some point. And maybe we can get some of our audience members to try it too and share their experience. I don't know how many would be for it. Mike Stinger, you do it? Come on, you be doing it. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's actually try it right now.
Alrighty.
Yeah. No, so
Awkward.
Bow out soon, but
Jeff
can
out.
I ask you for a guys a favor?
go ahead.
So yeah, we're trying to get some statistics on the next version of Trackly and stuff like that, and I have a survey, and I was wondering if you guys could pass that along.
Ah, absolutely. I
Sweet.
see the link right here. The Survey Monkey, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure this gets added into the blog post. That'll be up shortly with the show recap there. So with that, Jerry, I really wanted to thank you very, very much for joining us here tonight. And
Thanks for having
lastly, I guess, where can people find you after the show here? Where do you want to send everyone, other than to your
me.
survey?
Twitter, man. Find me at Twitter.
Twitter.com/
Jerry James Stone.
Jerry James Stone.
Jerry James Stone. Excellent.
Actually, anywhere that you're looking, it's always Jerry James Stone.
That's convenient. Yeah, no, I've had to change my name in different places. Jerry James Stone's pretty unique, so check him out everywhere. So thanks.
I've been tweeting him all day.
Yeah. So thanks again very much for joining us, Jerry, and everyone in the audience, that all you guys that watch us live every week here. Thank you so much for watching first off, and also all your comments and questions and keeping us sort of on our feet here. So really appreciate all of that.
Thank you.
Now, we also have this little logo contest going on that we're basically crowdsourcing our logo here. I was suggested the other week in the chat room. We're in the process of sort of redesigning things, and we saw that there was a lot of you guys that were really wanting to try to help out here. So please, you have until September 25th to submit your logo design. You can send it to thesocialblade@gmail.com. Also, you can also actually find out all the details on our blog about that. And while you're on our blog, check out also the Suggest a Guest link up at the top, as well as all of our past guests. And also, don't forget that not only do we do the shows here on the blog, also there's lots of news stories throughout the week that, especially Aaron and Jeff, you guys are really good about writing.
And
those.
JD.
JD as well.
And
yeah.
JD.
JD's good too. I don't write.
Yeah,
much,
JD's, since he's not here, let's
all right, let's be honest. No, just kidding. Yes. Also, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Definitely do that. Each of those sites /socialblade, and you can find us right there. We also lastly want to thank our sponsor, which is lightspeednow.com. And you can go to j.mp/subus, like subscribe to us, sub us, and you can sign up for text alerts. So you can get a little message on your Android or iPhone. We don't discriminate. Whenever the show goes live, and also even if you don't have one of those, as long as you get text messaging, you can get a text message.
Hold on. Since you don't discriminate, and if you live in Canada too.
Yes.
Not just for US.
Yes,
hooked us up.
That's
as
right.
Canadians.
We support. You can get it in a whole bunch of countries. I'm trying to look here to see what I have here. Yeah, you can get Canada on all your different providers there, as well as some international ones like O2, Orange, and things like that. And if you ever need, if your cell phone provider isn't there and you want to get it, just let me know. I can add you in as well. On that page also, you can get alerts for our sort of partner shows. Ask Outcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Band on the Web, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. The Drill Down on Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, Social Blade, we're here every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern at socialblade.com/show. And don't forget, we are Social Blade.